Okay, sorry, we can start now. So today we're going to study about Jumal. Some definition about Jumal and some diagram of the Jumal and some usage of Jumal. So what you will learn and what you will install in here. So you need to install first the tool. I think you can start download from now. The tool is StarUML. So I'm going to open the browser. It's called StarUML. For now, it's not. It's free, but can also buy. But you don't need to buy. Just download the free version. There's another tool also. Is called Microsoft Visual, but it's not free. It is about the tool. If you download, well, now we will give just example on StarUML, but there's a lot of other tool that you can use. It's not just StarUML, but because it is free, I will use this one. But you can also have Microsoft Visual, also the tool for drawing UML diagram. You can use visual paradigm, also the tool for drawing the UML diagram. You can use also the enterprise architect. Enterprise architecture. It's in this SPI system. This one is .com. Is .com. Okay. Yeah, it's also for drawing UML, but not just UML. It's also related to engineering, like architecture, like electrical engineering. It's not just for IT, but it's a lot of support. Electrical engineering, civil engineering, engineering. There's a lot of things that enterprise take, but it's not free. You need to buy the license. But it's also have cracks for testing. If you want to test, can have a free trial or crack. But this one is free, so we are going to use the free one. So you can first start a download for Windows. Now it's in version 5, but mine may be version maybe a bit lower. Let me try to download it. So at the same time, we are going to know a little bit about the UML. So our goal today is to know about what is UML and what are the role and diagram that used in UML. Some keyword we have UML stand for Unified Modeling Language. It is the standard modeling language for developing a system. It has the word unify, modeling, and language. It has a different other meaning, and also the word diagram. So we have a pre-test. What is computer program and what is programming language? But I don't think you need to know about it. I think you already know. So model of a bicycle. So it is the first one. Okay. So UML, Unified Modeling Language, it is standard modeling language. So modeling language is a language that model a system. It is used for design the system. So designing a system, we can refer to the user interface, graphical user interface. We also can refer to the data structure of the system. So there's a lot around the project. So we have the diagram, for example, related to the specification, visualization. Specification is about capturing the need of the user, what user want. It's called a requirement. We have the tool for, it has the tool for visualization, for designing the user interface, for architectural design. Architectural design, it's for the database, the data flow of the system, the structure of the system. Construction, creating the code, build the software. Simulation and testing, we simulate how program work. And the last one, documentation. The main advantage of UML, the first one, it is used by any institute of IT, the one who build the software, they all use UML. So in IT world, it's everywhere. And everyone know it because every school of IT learn about UML. So it has in every school. It's also clear, concise, it's clear. It's not ambiguous, it's not going to confuse. And comprehensive, easy to understand, believe. It can be easy to understand if we know how to use it and use it correctly. Scalable, it can add functionality, also can modify some functionality. It's built from, I think the first start is around for big company they that they have experience on working on the project, so they start to build this UML. So it's formed by a lot of experienced staff. So all this I explained in here. I already explained. So it is registered as ISO since 2005. But some still have in development. Object Management Group OMG it is a alliance from I think around 5 or 8 big company, including IBM. So the first one is concise. Concise is about how clear of a UML can show. So in the example, so about the ambiguity. Ambiguity is the confusion of the language that we use. Just like the language we used to do in the word some word. For example, I write something here. Before I explain this, I'm going to write this. Some, yeah. I'm going to create some text and question you about how informal language using us. But I believe you may understand those words already. So I have question like this. I saw a man on the hill with a scope. So there are two meaning in here. The first one, you use the scope to see the man on the hill. The second one, you use your eyes to see the man that holding the scope. So between the two, which one is the correct one? You can say it's two meaning. It has two meaning. Maybe zebra, I don't know, because as I know, it's around two meaning. So the first one, you use a scope, a man, the heel. That is the first meaning. For the second meaning, you may be what can I say? You use your neck eye, but I don't. Uh, you, I can say the man is holding a scope. So these two, the first one you are using the scope, it's not the man. So the man does not hold the scope. But the second one, that means the man is holding the scope, but you see him with your naked eye. So you see which one is the correct one? The first one or second one? See first one, and this one is second one. So which one you think it is the correct one? Number one or number two?
Number one, teacher.
The first one, you are holding the scope, not the man holding the scope. But when you use this word, the first one you think maybe the man is holding the scope, and maybe you can compute between the two meaning, the first one and the second one. Maybe you think that the man is holding the scope, or you think that you are holding the scope. So when this sentence appear, it may make user to confuse. Thus, you use the scope or the man is holding the scope. So when you use informal language, it may confusion. So if you use two, first is the text, second one is image. Text with image is easier to understand. Like in this example, there's a lot of confusion on this also. The system designer perspective, and this one is the system implementer perspective. Like this one like a developer, and this one like the one who designed the system. So you are going to be the designer before what you learn in since year 2, year 3, and the beginning of the semester, also the coding. So now you are learning how to design the system. So you become the system designer. So what you think and what the one that going to implement the code for you. So this guy, like you currently, maybe you are going to become the system designer. So you are going to design the system. That's what you think, and the one that implement the code for you. So when you design using that, you want to build something. A system need to be large, with 4 legs and a trunk. So because the word trunk represent three different meaning in English. The word trunk. So the trunk is the body, but if we refer to the animal, it is the body of the animal. But if we refer to the tree, it is the body of the tree. But if we refer to thing like this one, it refer to the body of the box. So it have a different meaning. So what you want is to be a system that is large. So the developer may think that the light system maybe it look like an elephant. The first thing first, the light one, and with 4 legs, it seems like and 4 legs. So animal has 4 legs, right? Just like an elephant, it has 4 legs, and a trunk, it has a body. So body of animal. So elephant also has a body. So everything feel like an animal, a big animal. So it become elephant. And for the system designer perspective, it's not what he want. He want only a box, a crate with 4 legs like this, but it's wooden. It made from wooden. So the confusion is made from the language. It is used English language, so this word trunk has several meaning. It can be used on animal, used on thing, and used on other thing. That's why this word make ambiguity. And also the communication is also one part of the confusion, because when we talk just once, we may not understand clearly. We need to talk maybe 2 or 3 times to be able to understand, because if you use the same word or the same phrase, it may confusion. But if we change those words into other words, it will make more understandable. For example, you change the word trunk into something else, like the box body or the crate body. So you can change those words. It make clear the word, and more better about it. It will become better when you change the word to use. So if you talk just one time, it may confuse, but second or third, it will not will clear the confusion. But it is one way in communication. You have the other option like drawing. If you draw this box out of your imagination, so they will not confuse anymore. So you can use both text and image to explain things, and it's clearer than you just talk. You just use the text. So there's a lot of confusion using a text, plain text. So you need to use image plus text. So because of this confusion, we need to change it to use a humor. So in this code, it's all about a class called guitarist. Guitarist. Guitarist is the person who play the guitar. So guitarist is Eastern person and implement music player. So he has his favorite guitar, and he has a constructor from a super class person, and he has some method and implement the instrument. here, music player, the one that has an instrument to play. So it's not just the text, it also have a display, an image to draw to show about the code. So if we compare between and this, for explaining, I think it's more understandable than just using the code. So as you can see, your friend that have done the presentation, or maybe year 5 or before you, they may made the mistake to show the code, but they don't show this. The code is great, but it take a lot of time to read, just like what I read for you at the moment. So as you can see, the image is better than just code. So if you explain it from explaining the code like this to explain as image like this. If you want to explain the code, maybe you need to know that everyone in the room that are listening to you, they all on the same skill. That means they have a skill in Java. Everyone has the skill in Java, so you can use the code, but it's not always have the same situation like this, because there's a lot of text to read, so some people may not read. So instead we show as an image. So the guitarist is the one who use the instrument for playing. So he used his guitar to play, and guitarist is one of the music player, and he is a person, a kind of person. Some person they don't play guitar, so they also person, but they can't play the guitar. Some person they are music player, but they can't play guitar. The guitarist is a person that play music. They play one guitar to play music. So in this image is shorter than this code. If you read this code, you may take 2, maybe 5 minutes to understand. But this you can read maybe 1 or 2 minutes, can understand. You just focus on the 4 part. So guitarist is a kind of person, and he is one of music player, and he used the guitar to play. That's all. And in this image, it is the detail about the guitarist. But the detail language, it may be more difficult or harder to understand at first, because it requires some knowledge on the diagram. It is called the use case, the class diagram is one. So you need to have some knowledge on class diagram first before doing this. But I can explain in general that it is similar to this, but it's more detailed. More detailed, just like the code here. But it has only the signature of the function and the attribute. So the top one is the class name called person, and in the second part is attribute. So person has name, attribute, and the third part is the method get name. So person can have name and we can get name method. And this has interface, that means it is an interface. Interface is name music player, and it has the method. It's all abstract. Yeah. Get instrument, get set instrument, and play. I forgot to tell that we don't use as Java that we put, for example, string name, but in UML we use name colon and then data type. And this is called inheritance design. I will explain detail in class diagram later. And this one is interface realization or implementation. Guitarist implement music player, guitarist extend person, and guitarist use guitar, and he use only one guitar. And this sign is called aggregation. So you will learn it in detail later. So model and diagram. In UML we have model and this one is diagram. So model, sometimes you can draw in sketch, or you can represent as image as a model. Just like when you design your interface for a website, just a prototype, just a mock-up for prototyping only. And the diagram is to show the detail about the model. So in here we are going to learn the model first, and then you draw the diagram step by step. So for example, you have a model of a bicycle. It has a lot of things in there, and at last you can make a real one. So a model may be not the same as the real, because a model is just to show how it looks and what are things needed to have to make a real one. And sometimes it's so big, you need to separate into module or multiple parts to make it less complicated and can easier to explain to other also. So when we talk about diagram, we will use some drawing to show how a program works. how a function works. So when we draw a model or we make a model, we can understand how it looks, but we may not know how it works. So drawing a diagram is to make us understand how it works. For example, you have a model bicycle, but you don't know how to use it. For example, you can see that it has a lot of features, but I don't know each feature, how each feature works. So the diagram will show how it works, how the model works. Just like you make a video from how to ride a bicycle. So it has some, just like in this, it is called, I can say it is a flowchart. It is a flowchart of the how it works. It is what it is called. I don't know what it is. Okay, it is how we make the coffee. Yeah, because I can see here. So if we talk about model, we can see a coffee, we can see water, we can see the sugar and a cup of coffee, a coffee cup. Yeah. But if we make a diagram, we can see how to make coffee. So first we do this and this and this. So diagram show the flow, how it works. So the model only what we see, and how it look, how it navigation from one to another. But it's not showing the how it works. So we need to include both into, combine both into one. So sometimes we talk about UML, it can be a design or sketch. You can draw in paper by your hand, by your pen or pencil, and then you make it as a design. I can say it is a draft of your design, the first draft or second draft or third draft. It is about the GUI only. It is about the prototype only. It is a model, but we don't know how it works. So we can use UML as a programming language. We generate code from the model that we have, and it is a blueprint. It is what we can see as how it works. So we draft what look like. So in the project I gave you is to use Figma or Adobe HD is to draw this, is to draw the interface of your project. So it is the first point of UML is the sketch. So you can draw by hand, you can draw by tool. It is a blueprint. You saw how it works. And programming language is to generate code from a program, from the model that you have drawn in a UML. So we have 5 views of the model. The first one is the use case view, and the other 4 created after use case view. That means the use case view is the first one, need to be done first. And the other 4 is generated by the use case view. It's not generated, created. If without use case view, we cannot create the other 4. So first one, use case. Second one, we can create like physical view, and then logical view, process view, and development view. It is the model of a crucian. It's 4 plus 1. It's not 5. It's 4 plus 1. Because the 1 is the first to be created, and the other 4 is made by the 1. If the first one is not created, the other 4 not going to happen. So first one is the use case, and the other 4 created from the use case. So the file diagram, the first one that we make is use case. Use case view. Use case view, it is the starting point of system analysis. And it's all about what are the actor, what are the user of our system, who can use what. It is the actor. Actor, that means user. For example, who will use your system? The person that use your system is the actor. So what they can do, it is the association here. What they can do. The food critic, they eat food, they play with pay for food, they drink wine. But the chef, they cook food. So food critic, they don't cook food. So the one that can cook food only chef. So the other food critic, they will eat, they pay, and then they drink. So in this use case, we can see who are the user of our system and what they can do. And you can see also the feature of the system. It is the function of the system. Yeah, they are the function of the system. And sometimes it's very like up to 100 or 1,000 functions. You cannot write the bubble like this. You can use the other type. It's called the use case table. Use case table, it's so a lot more feature than this one, but this one is easier to read and to understand. It's more simplified approach. But if you want to know about the detail of the system, you can use the other type of use case view also, but it's called use case table. It represents as a table, a list of all the use case. These are the use case. And we will detail in the next lesson. In the next lesson. It is the process view. Process view, we use an activity diagram. So after we finish the first one, the use case view, we can continue to the activity diagram, the process view. Process view will show you how the system, how the function work. For example, it is an activity diagram of an order management system. So it's so how the ordering do. For example, in this, customer first start of the process. Customer they will send an order request, and then the order request system confirm the receipt of the order. So first we start order, and then system will generate a receipt, and then they check if order is normal order. If it is a normal order, we confirm order, and then we dispatch the order. If it is not a normal order, it is something special, so we do something else. If it is special, order is special. If yes, confirm, and then new is not, just end. So here it is only about ordering one order only, but you cannot use it to represent the whole system. It's sometimes quite very complicated to show the whole system. You can show only the process of some function or some just like how it works. For example, how to register a user, how to change the password, how to buy a product from some restaurant, how to for example, how to borrow a book from the library. So those how to mostly the process view, they use activity diagram. It is sometimes confused with the flowchart. Mostly we confuse with the flowchart. So it's very similar to flowchart that you have maybe you have learned in year 2 or year 3, the end of year 2 or year 3, start of year 3. So the flowchart is very similar to this one, but they have the start also, but they don't have the same sign as here. So if you can see the design, it is the activity diagram. It's not flowchart. After the process view, we have the logical view. After showing how the system works, how to do something, so we can create the logical view. But this one can create before the process view also. We can create before that. Only if the process is hard to understand, so you can draw this. And then you can draw the logical view. It is the class diagram that I have explained a little bit in the previous slide. So it's so how many class in your system and how you arrange your class. And also it can show you the package. What are the package you use also? So at this point, it's really hard to make it a very complete one. So sometimes you just show the I can call it the package only, the list of the package and how they communicate each other, and then we detail into the class diagram inside each package. For example, it's the method of class design here. How do you know that there's only student and professor? Maybe there are some more type of class, like I can say besides student, we have a part-time trainer. We have another one is a part-time trainer. We may have another one part-time trainer. So when we analyze, we don't have that, but when we do it in real situation, this one can be updated. It become part-time trainer. Or we can have a short course student. They're also student, but they learn on the short course. Maybe add a thing, we don't know. For now, in our department, we don't have that, but in the future, we don't know. We cannot predict the future. But if some point, it may change. So the class diagram may be frequently changed, mostly. And I believe that most of you, when you start to code the first one, you think that class is not very important. So you just need, you give the name like ABC, like my class 1, my class 2. But in here, it is require you to name it a very good name, so that it can easier to understand, because it's not just to use for yourself. It will be used for your group or for the whole process of development. So naming is it require I can say a complete naming is better. It's not just my class. It's not just my array or something. And it will be changed a lot in class diagram, because the design may change. When the design change, it's also changed in here in class diagram. The development view, we describe how each module communicate each other. This diagram, it show how the movie, I think the movie, how it works in a movie in the theater, movie in cinema, for example. So there's a reservation, there's schedule, there's screen, and movie database. We can consider this as different module, different package, or different folder related to each of module. For example, setting up schedule, cancel a schedule, delay a schedule. That's all about the schedule. Yeah. The screen, it may be the screen resolution change, the screen frame rate change. It's all about screen. And the movie database, we can add, update, delete movie, or maybe the trailer or the description of the movie, the translation of the movie. So we have a subtitle. It's all about movie. And reservation, it's all about the how user or client or customer, they reserve the ticket, they reserve the chair, or the place for watching the movie. So maybe they can reserve before 1 hour before starting the movie. It's managing, adding or removing, canceling the reservation. So the reservation can be done unless they see the schedule. If don't have the schedule, we cannot reserve. So it depends on schedule. And reserve for what? We reserve for specific screen. Specific screen. Screen here is referred to the movie that will play here. So if you go to some cinema, you can see that it have many different rooms. So each room represents each screen. For example, room A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. So each room, it represents the screen size also. For example, each room A6 is a large screen display. I can see it's full HD or something. And room A2 is smaller screen and smaller space for the movie that has not a lot of viewer. So it has a lot of type of screen. Each screen is in each room. So the movie can play based on the schedule. Based on the schedule. So each schedule, it will play for each screen. So if you play some movie, play some movie. So the reservation people come in and watch that movie on their time. So this not showing that how you code. It just shows how each component communicate each other. We call it component diagram. In here we package diagram. Yes, development. Yes, package diagram. So each of package represent each module of the system. And when you do your project, you will need to do this type of package diagram also, because if your project is so big, you need to break it down into smaller module and different package, so that it's easier to understand and easier to implement code also. So that you can focus, for example, focus on the screen, totally on screen, totally on reservation, totally on schedule. You don't focus the whole system. You focus on each module. It become smaller and easier to understand. So the last one is physical view. Physical view. It's so the require I think it is the deployment diagram. So it's so the require module, require a library that we need to set up before we can install our system. Like for example, we need internet access to be able to use our system. We need like a library or hardware that require for our system to work. So when set up our system, we need those software to install before setting up the system. It's just like a system requirement. Yeah, it's just like system requirement in some software that you run on your PC. So I can ask that what are the required thing, like maybe I go to documentation and then I don't see where is system requirement. Yeah, it doesn't say. Maybe the type. Yeah, here it does not say about a system requirement. Maybe any system can install. Yeah, the I don't see any part that say about system requirement here. Maybe I can search about as office system requirement. Yeah. So what do we need to have to be able to install this software? It's just like that. Like order system, we use inventory system to be able to record or retrieve the information about the number of item in stock. Do we have to buy something new? Do we have this item, that item? So order system require to check that inventory. So we use inventory system. So after the file diagram, we are going to detail each file diagram in the next lesson. Maybe for a file lesson after this lesson, it has all about the diagram. So along the way, you will need to use it to draw your project structure. That's why I need you to have your own project. Along the way, we are going to analyze and then we draw the diagram of their project. So UML is not copyright, and I don't think it is difficult, but a lot of your I can say I don't know what to say. In fact, a lot of students that already learned that you already said that it's not easy to draw the diagram, but it's not difficult, right? Let we'll just later after we study the diagram. And it's not time consuming. It's not take a lot of time. So when we need to draw and when we don't need to draw the diagram. We draw diagram unless we need to show the theme about how a function works. We need to draw the diagram when we want to keep the document for other to read later. We don't draw diagram just for viewing this as something interesting, but we draw a diagram to show the one that the new member or the new staff, they come and they see the diagram and they know how to start. Your team member, you have around 3 person or 5 person or 7 person. They can show you can show this diagram and they can understand faster. Just like we talked previously, if we talk only text or plain text, it will be hard to understand, or there's a lot of confusion. So we can draw the diagram plus text that can easier to understand or easier to remember. So drawing plus text, it become more understandable. So when we don't need to draw the diagram, we don't need to diagram if it is a process, because the process tell you to. So the process already know, you already know the process, and you don't need to draw the diagram because it's you just see it and then you know that it is how it works. Just like something that is very simple, very simple. So you don't need to draw the diagram. Everyone know about it. We don't need to draw the diagram because you feel guilty not to draw them. if you if you think that you draw the diagram and you don't draw the diagram, you feel that it is guilty. So you don't need to draw it if you feel that. Don't draw diagram to create comprehensive document of the design phase prior to coding. So if you already code, but after that you draw the diagram. So it may take just a short time to draw, but it's not good to draw a diagram after you already code. But sometimes we need also for checking the chain if it has some problem in your new chain. But normally we don't draw diagram after the code. Just make a comprehensive document because you already code. So normally we draw the diagram before code. And don't draw diagram for other people to code. We draw a diagram to explain other what is what and how it works, and to make them understand, to let them understand, and they can start to after that. For example, the new people come, the new member, you have new member. So your new member may not be able to start unless they see the document, the diagram. They know how it works, so they can continue from what we have done. For example, on a medium project, we have 12 people working on one project of million lines of code. And it requires 25 or 200 page of persistent documentation that include UML diagram, high-level structure of important module. We have ER diagram, entity relationship diagram for relational database, a page or two about how to build a system. So we have 12 people that work on the project that has around million lines of code. So our document may be up to 200 page, but I used to do is around maybe less than 100 for now. We don't do up to 200 like this, but it's just about, I think, around 80 page only for now, because we prefer less documentation now. But ER diagram is required for real. We have ER diagram or class diagram because the two can be replaceable. And UML diagram is just for high-level structure of some module. And it is the technical how to build our system. Maybe README, you see, it can be README. And the testing instruction, how to test our system, how to run. You need to do create account and then verify your email and then log in and then do what. It is about testing instruction. Source code control instruction. How to use our source code. You need to register as Git account or something to be able to do the to get the source code. So I'm sorry that I already gave you the answer. The three advantages of UML, we have concise, standard, and formal language. Complete the blank field, we have a collection of elements and their connection. So a model that is made up by a collection of elements, including their connection. To each other. I forgot to remove this. So we have two there. Or remove this or remove this. Choose the name that is not in the 4+1 view. So we have logical view, we have use case view, process view, we have physical view, and development view. We don't have C-side view. C-side view is the same. Activity diagram is the process view. In blank field also, UML is not proprietary, it is not difficult, and it is not time consuming. Okay, it is the end of our lesson. So you have any question? You have any question?
Hello teacher.
Yeah.
Vậy ta khinh màយើងត្រយូរអំអត់យើងត្រវារបៀបម៉េចត្ររបៀបជា flow structure code មែនចា
Yes. Flow structure code we use activity diagram. If we want to draw the UI, we can use Sketch. You can use Figma or Adobe HD to draw UI and prototype. So in UML, there's a lot of different tools. Like Start UML is for the diagram only. And for the mock-up, for the design, you need to use other tools like Figma or Adobe HD.
យើងមានតែការយើងទៅសេ code ដែលមិនចា combine ចូលគ្នាទាំងអស់មែនចា
We don't have to do that. It just the design is not to code, not to compile. Now I'm going to install the Star UML now. If you don't have any question.
No teacher សូមជម្រាបចា
So after you install the Star UML, you can start using Star UML. It's very fast for installing. I didn't know where it installed. So first we open the Star UML. It will say you need to register, but if you read it carefully, it will tell you that it is totally free. It's always free. So you just disable it. So in here, the first one is the diagram. Here, working diagram. So as you can see, you can click on the right. It has the model, and here is the diagram. It is the class diagram. You can see the status bar at the below. It is main. It's UML class diagram. It's very small text at the below. It tells you the type of diagram. It is the class diagram. UML class diagram. You can add and add more diagram. Just right click on the model and then add diagram. So in here there's a lot of diagram. You can see class diagram, package diagram, object diagram, composite structure diagram, component diagram, deployment diagram, use case diagram, and other. It is EA diagram, activity diagram, and the file diagram. One is use case, and then activity diagram. After that, we have a class diagram here, and we don't have package diagram, but we here package diagram, and Yeah, deployment diagram. Yes. If we add, for example, use case diagram, the toolbox in here is used to draw the use case diagram. So as you can see at the bottom status bar, it tells you about use case diagram. So it tells you the type of the diagram. And the working diagram, you can work any. For example, you click here, it will show the toolbox as class diagram, and here as use case diagram. You can rename it into other use case diagram name. For example, use case, my first use case. I see my system use case. Let me change to my system use case. So it has everything that you can draw, but for now we are not going to focus in detail. We just want to set up the software, and then you can know just a little bit how the design of this software. So that's all for today, and we will continue how to use the diagram after we start the project. But next week you are going to study about use case, the first one, because when you already start your project, you need to collect the requirement. So next week you study use case, but you are not going to apply it next week. We are going to apply it after next 2 weeks, I think. Because next week we only can draw some design about about the project that you have chosen. So it may take around 2 weeks to be able to complete the whole design. So maybe you take around 2 weeks to finish the design. During that, you may check for validation how your design work. For example, if you design some registration form, do you need to add all the field required to register? That question is about how you want user to use your system. Do they need to fill all the field that required by creating the account? So just like you set up the account for Facebook and Telegram, you don't have to fill all the information. You just need to fill your email or your username and password, that's all. And sometimes it requires you to import your birth date so that they know that you are at the age of responsibility of your action or not. So for design, we don't have in here. As you can see, we don't have the diagram for working with the drawing. That's why I suggest you to use the Figma or Adobe HD to draw. In this tool, there's no way you can draw. Okay, so I think it is finished for this lesson, and the setup is done. If you have any question, you can ask in group. So everyone need to have a group for your own project. And about the one that don't have project to do, I will give the list of project later, maybe after class. So you have any question now? Okay, if you don't have any question, I think it is finished for today. Okay, thank you for joining the class. But do not leave now. I'm going to download the attendance list. Okay, it's done. Okay.